Okay, so shout out to Poetic Flacco because he did a bit on it, and so this is where we can get straight to it without me looking for timestamps in that over 3 hour interview. Flacco, oh, Flacco turned around and got Shannon too. Oh my goodness.
Amanda Seales is receiving heavy backlash for what appears to be a really terrible lie that she told during her podcast with Shannon Sharpe.
I recently was diagnosed as someone who has autism spectrum disorder, which is very...
Okay, so she says she was recently diagnosed, which she's starting out with a lie. Why didn't she just say, I come to the realization? Why didn't she say, I diagnosed myself? None of that. I was recently diagnosed. So she was intentionally trying to put it out like she was professionally diagnosed. You know, if and I see there's people out there that are also defending her self-diagnosis. Listen, if that's your thing, shake it. You know, do what you want to do. But you don't got to lie, Craig. I mean, if she got to be deceptive with it, you know, being a whole Decepticon out this mug, per usual, per her, then how you standing in that? Huh? How?
Difficult to identify in black women because of racism.
Hindsight is 20/20, so while watching this back, a couple of red flags popped out to me. One red flag was when Shannon Sharpe asked her a pretty direct question, when was you diagnosed?
Very direct.
Well, she gave her age like 42, and then she began to give like...
I did a video. I didn't even post it. I probably deleted it, but when he asked her when were you diagnosed, and she was like, what's today? That's when I was like, oh my gosh. I know it was in this moment. Okay? This moment that Shannon knew he messed up. It was in this moment. He should have known before he booked the chick. But I knew in that moment he knew that we knew that he knew. That he knew that we knew. That he knew he messed up.
The day that she was diagnosed, but then she sort of like diverted and never circled back. So she never gave a day.
I don't know. 42 plus 1 carried to 3, and it will be because she went to the future. It's like, how you gonna ask him what's today? He gave her the date and everything. I'm surprised he didn't give her the time, minutes, and seconds, because it's like, what you mean what's today? Like, what? Did she talking about something about in the future? Like, why are we talking about possibilities in the future if this diagnosis already occurred? If that's how you know, I mean, I would have been like, get off my chair and get out of my studio.
A month, and sort of deliberately went off on a tangent to sort of avoid answering exactly when she was diagnosed.
So, let me ask you this. How old were you when you got diagnosed, and did you always feel that you was different and you felt something was wrong?
She like,
well, what's today?
Today is Thursday, the 18th.
That's how you know somebody lying. Come on, man. That question was straightforward. How old were you? Okay, did you always feel, oh, this is in the past? What today got to do with it? Okay, you don't need to know what today is to answer that question. Okay, he didn't ask you how many days from today was it. He didn't ask you, like, come on. I don't even need to come up with scenarios that could possibly fit, because there would be no average or normal scenarios that would fit her responding the way she did. And she looking down, look like she's half wrapped in a sweater or Afghan or something. I don't know. Maybe the AC was on. But whatever it was, she looking down at it like she trying to find her watch. Like she's going to give you the time and everything that it was when she read the doggone thing online and said, this is me.
42 and however many days until I was just recently diagnosed.
Okay.
And this came out of this situation because
Who does this? Man, is this what we talking about? Amanda, is this what we talking about though? I mean, however many days until what? It already happened. So until what? I know Shannon was like, this fool, she must really think just some big dumb jock. I know he felt real insulted by the way she answered that question. I don't know that I could have kept going. There's so many times in this interview that Shannon was just like, you know what? You listen, if y'all talking about Shannon, I mean, I'm not saying he don't have no critiques in this interview, because there's a couple. I mean, I saw, but we'll talk about that. It's almost like they pale in comparison to the way he should be championed, though, for handling this interview, because I don't know many that could, including myself. There's so many points to where Shannon was just like, I'm gonna sit here and, his poker face is strong. Like, you can see through the poker face a little bit, but how can you not? But it's still strong. I mean, he a soldier for this one. Listen, this shit don't make no sense. Who could have went past this? It's like, who we talking to right now? Like, you really trying to play my face as if I'm just some dummy. How do you answer a question like this? No, we got to rewind that part.
What's today?
Today is Thursday, the 18th.
So 42 and however many days until I was just recently diagnosed.
Okay.
And this came out of this situation because so many black women who are autistic said to me, I see you.
Amanda Seales offered up autism as an explanation for why she's not well liked, why she's damn near hated, why she's not really well received by most people in the industry, why she's not invited to people's spaces, and why she really doesn't fit in. Now, Shannon Sharpe caught wind of what was going on, and even he got a little bit suspicious, like... just because you are rude, loud, or just because people don't like you doesn't really mean you are autistic. So then he began to probe and ask more questions.
Shannon ain't get a little bit suspicious. He knew she was straight up lying. Anybody knew she was straight up lying.
And try to get her to commit to a day that she was diagnosed, and if she was clinically diagnosed by a doctor.
Related to simply how I see things. It's related to how my brain functions.
Yes. But just because your brain functions differently from, say, mine.
Look at her. She's looking at him.
So you feel just because your brain functions differently that's what caused it? Or there's a clinical diagnosis that
there are clinical diagnoses.
For you?
Yes, there are clinical diagnoses for autism, yes.
Yeah, I know
Shannon Sharpe asked her twice.
Right.
Did you receive a clinical diagnosis? She responds back with, there are clinical diagnoses, yes. So Shannon Sharpe realizes that she's not answering the question directly, and for some reason she's being vague and trying to pivot.
Evasive,
so then he asks her a very direct question. Was there a clinical diagnosis for you?
Apprehensive.
Now, Amanda Seales does something very intelligent. So after she states, there are clinical diagnoses for autism, Shannon Sharpe was about to ask, no, I mean for you. She then pivots into something very slick and sly. She then pivots into, well, when you take the autism test...
I don't know what you're talking about, because there wasn't nothing slick or sly about none of this.
They are alluding to or trying to assume without stating that she took the autism test. So when Shannon Sharpe is about to double down and ask, did you get clinical diagnosed? She then goes into, well, when you take the autism test, there are things you got to doodle and draw. Well, Shannon Sharpe is perceiving that as Amanda Seales is telling me that she took the autism test, and that's how she was diagnosed. When in fact, she was just talking about people taking.
I disagree. You're not giving Shannon his credit. So we gonna go back.
And they cut out at the end. He was asking, "No, I have not been clinically diagnosed by a doctor because I'm not paying $10,000 to do that." And most people will tell you that at this age, you don't need a clinical diagnosis in that sense. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, we are so conditioned here in this nation to really only consider something in one kind of way.
Tisk. Well, if this is how she felt about the situation, why didn't she just say that to Shannon right then and there? Instead of doing all that dancing and trying to make it seem like, well, I was clinically diagnosed by a professional. Why did she try to make it seem like That's the answer she wanted him to accept instead of just saying exactly what she said here. Okay.
Paying $10,000 to do that.
Okay.
About Palestine. And they cut out at the end, he was asking, no, I have not been clinically diagnosed by a doctor because I'm not paying $10,000 to do that. And most people will tell you that at this age, you don't need a clinical diagnosis in that sense. And I think that...
Yeah, we don't need it. Okay, we don't need the professionals, the certified ones that do the certifications, because being a star and whatever she does, having this, money, or at least the ability to have insurance, that, I don't feel like the cost of it all, going to have to actually see someone, which probably would lead me to having to have some kind of therapy, where you sit and you talk to them, but then they try to show you your faults and hold you accountable for things that you need to change. I don't know. I'm just assuming that there's a lot to be evaded there. So you want to discount the validity of it and say, hey, we don't need that. We can just do it ourselves, So you get a diagnosis, and you listen, what you want to be. You want to be autistic too? That's cool. If you say so, you can get it. You can get your own diagnosis. Hey,